Welcome, good thinkers. Welcome to Good Thinking Live, where we show up most Mondays, 9 a.m. Pacific time here on the West Coast of the United States. I'm here in Portland, Oregon, and 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, everywhere in the world. Welcome, good thinkers, to the show. You know the drill. If you're an experienced good thinker, let us know who you are and where you're from. And if you're new to the show, welcome. We love having you here. This is the time each week, most weeks, not all weeks. Sometimes I'm traveling, but the time each week that we give ourselves set aside to actually think about our thinking. Time set aside, 30 minutes to think about our thinking. So let me know and let everyone else know who you are and where you're from. This is a show that is very much participatory. So you got to keep it. You're part of the conversation. It's a conversation. So I'm going to start saying hi to some people who are coming on. Hi, Barkley from DC. Number one on the show today. First one on. Manish. Is it already started? I can't hear anything. Oh, okay. So there should be, I don't think that there should be any audio thing. It has started. Maybe restart your computer. Aha, Ray, welcome from Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. And Sreejas, welcome from Kochi. And we've got Manol from Paris, fantastic. Sydney from Utah, Jessica from Utah. Let's see, Jessica, it's going fast. From New Jersey, Lakshmi from New Jersey. Hello, Tony from Houston. And Sydney from I don't know, welcome. It's going so fast, I might miss some of you. LinkedIn Learning. Sometimes it says LinkedIn user, so I don't know, but welcome from Indiana. Welcome from Lome, Koku. And Hadassah, welcome from Spain. And Brenda from Dallas, welcome to the show. Ganga, welcome. Hello. Sometimes I mispronounce your names, and I try, but things are moving fast. Let's see. Sahar from Egypt. Nora from Grand Rapids. Fayez from Qatar. Fantastic. Saqib from India. So we've got a lot of good thinkers coming on the show, and keep them coming. I'm going to try to bring them into everyone that I can possibly bring in to the show. But then also we got to get started. So keep them coming. And then you have an idea of how cool this is, because talk about viewpoint diversity. Good thinking requires viewpoint diversity. Good thinking requires people from all over the world sharing their insights, sharing their perspectives, and setting aside this 30 minutes that we have to think about our thinking. So let's get to it. All right, I'm going to take the banner off so we have more room for your comments. Let's see, did I do that right? Oh, here we go. And that. Okay, ready? You know the drill. It's going to be the first question. When you hear something always happens, well, that always happens. When you hear that, what does this mean to you? What does always represent? Does that represent 100% of the time? Or does it represent something different? Now, as you're saying hello, be sure to put your answers in the chat. So when you hear 100%, when you hear always, do you think that is 100% of the time? Let me know. I'm just going to put all these in so we can say hi to people, even if it's just in the comments. Aha. When you hear 100% of the time, always, do you think that that's the same as 100% of the time? Yes or no? Yes or no? Just put it in the chat. It turns out that if you think you are leading with clarity by saying something always happens, you might be leading with something else. You might be leading with mush. Leading with mush. How can this happen? Well, if you are leading anyone, a team, your family, a group of friends, communicating with clarity is imperative. And with critical thinking, communicating with clarity and clarity of concepts is vital. So we're going to see what some of the answers are. Let's just see what we've got. We've got Aha. Okay, so we've got 100%. So Ishmael says 100% is always. Robert says 90%. Sri Jess says most of the time. Okay, most numbers of the time. Now I want a number. I want a number. Either yes, you think it's 100%, or if you think it's another number, put a number. Manol says 100. Barkley says 85% or more. Lakshmi says 100. Always typically means frequently. That's the problem with using words, mushy words. That's the shift we're going to make today, is to shift from this idea of using mushy words to moving toward probabilistic communication. Okay. The key, so if you tune in right now and then you have to tune out, the one takeaway I'm going to give you early on, and then I'm going to tell you how to do it if you stick around, is to move away from this bias, mushy kind of communication to leading with clarity by shifting over to probabilistic communication, meaning convert words and phrases to numbers. Okay. So that's the thing. You say, okay, got to go. Don't have time for good thinking. At least you got that. Because I appreciate all of you tuning in. So a lot of people, Jessica says 100%, 101. Lori says 100%. Nora says 100%. Olivier says no. No, it doesn't. And here's the thing. This is evidence right here. Right here. Hello, everyone. Glad to meet you too, Kokila. From Sri Lanka. This is evidence right here. Raylan from hello, back at you. This is evidence right here that if you're leading this team of good thinkers and you use the term always, everyone's going to have a different opinion. And you can see it right in the chat. So we've proven it. We've done our research. We can go home. I've already convinced you. Research indicates that most people, but not all people, think that always means 100% of the time. However, what can you know with 100% certainty? What is something that could happen that will never involve any level of uncertainty other than death and taxes? Death and taxes. So what is something? Critical thinking requires that we make concepts clear. So what about when you're talking about concepts like success or growth or engagement or diversity? And everyone comes in thinking, yeah, we all agree, just like always. We know that everyone thinks of always the same. Turns out, no. And these concepts are even mushier. So when we discuss the future, we often use vague language because it gives us more wiggle room to be right and avoid being wrong. And this mushiness can leave us confused and ill-prepared. And if you're leading teams, even if that team happens to be your family or your group of friends, but certainly in the workforce, or if you're an emerging leader wanting to be someone who is leading, this mushiness can leave us confused and ill-prepared to avoid risks and capitalize on opportunities. So this is sloppy at best and dangerous at worst. And I'm going to give you an amazing story. So here is so we've got a lot of answers. Oh, I'm not even able to say hello to everyone. And I want to. Istanbul, we've got this, we've got Iceland, we've got Istanbul. All right. So I'm going to do my best to bring everyone in, but it's getting a little difficult, but here's what I want everyone to participate in this little interesting story. All right. In 1951, here in the United States, the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, learned that within a year, a Soviet attack on Yugoslavia was a serious possibility. So we're taking all the politics out and all the drama. We're just going to talk about clarity of concepts, leading with clarity. Okay. We're putting all the judgment stuff, which is really cool and a lot of good thinking around judgment. We're going to put all that aside right now because our goal now today is to become leaders who can lead with clarity. Okay. All right. So they said that it was a serious possibility, and they even said within a year. So that's good. They put guardrails around the time frame. All right. So here's my question to you. You ready? What do you think, and put a number in the chat, what do you think a serious possibility meant at this time? Or when you hear, even let's put it, make it easier. When you think something is a serious possibility, what is the number you associate with a serious possibility? Put it in the chat and we'll bring your answers in. Okay, put it in the chat. Aha. I want to say hi to Minata from Burkina Faso. Okay, so what do you think is a serious possibility? Share your answers. All right, we've got some goodies. So Hadassah says plus 80%. Jessica says 75%. We've got Christina at 75%. We've got Olivier at 51%. You're starting to see, we're talking about a threat. We're talking about a very serious threat. And we're talking about the Central Intelligence Agency. Talk about a group of leaders, right? And we now see all of this diverse from 51, Servant says World War, exactly, 40%. So we're down to 60%, 95%. Okay. So the good news is there's 100% serious possibility. Some people think, so we've got a range here, so greater than 50%. Okay. When you're talking about a serious threat and you're in a group of people and you're leading a group of people, do you think it's a problem that you've got people thinking it's from 40% to 100%? Do you think that could pose a problem? Do you think you're leading with clarity if people are all over the board with this stuff? Okay. Now, I'm telling you right now that we have just launched Anticipating the Future as a Leader. It's our new LinkedIn Learning course. And I'm really, 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 really excited about it because we address all of these kinds of things. So you're going to get a little sampler of some of the content. But this is a course I'm really excited. I mean, I'm excited about all of our courses, but this is one I'm really excited about. All right. Do you think it's a problem? Christina says, yeah. Christina Mahala says yes. Sharon says no. Okay. So it's not a problem. Is it a problem? You're talking about a serious threat and you're working with a team. This is a high level team. Do you think it's a problem that some people think it's a 40%, so they go about their day, and other people think it's 100%, so they're working on it, right? I think it's a problem. And let me tell you, you can compare your answers to what the members of the CIA thought it meant. Because when CIA members were asked what they thought a serious possibility meant, do you think they all agreed? I mean, these are trained professionals too. I mean, this is like high level, right? Do you think they all agreed? You think they all agreed? Because, we don't agree because we don't know each other, right? We're all good thinkers, but we didn't all agree. Do you think they all agreed? Yes, yes. Well, turns out their answers range from 20% to 80%. So we're no different than the CIA leaders who had to analyze what a serious threat meant, from 20 to 80%. Misunderstandings hide in vague language all the time. So a lot of people realize now, no, they probably didn't. Got no. Agree to some level. Actually not. 20 to 80% show very little agreement. I mean, no. We're no different than CIA agents. Is it serious or possibility? Excellent. Good question. I like this question because Ganja, because it clarifies concepts even further. I like that one. I'm going to give that one a rubber chicken. I think that's good. Let's see what we got. No. Yes. After discussion. No. Turns out that when you talk in language that is mushy, you end up with unclear communication. You cannot lead with clarity when you're using mushy language. And sometimes, you need to use mushy language because you don't want to look wrong, right? If you say a serious possibility that it doesn't happen, I thought you said it's a serious possibility. You could say, well, I didn't say it's going to happen for sure. All right. So, I think this is going to be a good one. Ray always comes up with good ones. What is funny is that after 27 years of marriage, when my wife says, I don't feel well, I say, give me a percent. I wish she would go straight to the percentage. Okay. I love it. I love it. Although I'm going to take your wife's side. She should just have you say, oh, let me take care of you. Let me give you a foot massage. Anyway, all right. Now, here's the deal. Here's some other things. Because leading with clarity means you minimize as much vague language as possible. And things like sports metaphors like slam dunk and home run. Now, when you hear something is a slam dunk, if I tell you that something's going to occur, your promotion is a slam dunk. Let's say I tell you that your promotion is a slam dunk. Do you think you're going to get promoted? Like, what percentage chance? Well, it turns out that these kinds of sports metaphors can have a lot of cultural differences and misunderstandings, which is great because we're all coming from different cultures, so we can prove it. So do you think that a slam dunk, your promotion is a slam dunk? What do you think? You're going to get promoted? Yes? No? Maybe? What do you think? Put it in the chat. All right, there's a wide variation of likelihood that people attach to certain words, like always and certainly and almost always and most certainly, frequently and probably and often, serious possibility, more often than not, possibly, might happen, rarely. And what about never? If you hear something's never will happen, is that the same as a zero possibility? All right. I love that Hadassah says this. Okay, I'm going to bring this in. This is another rubber chicken. I don't understand any slang about American football. Exactly. Particularly since slam dunk is basketball. So that proves it. If someone had a bunch of sports metaphors are not inclusive. If you talk about inclusive language, the one thing about inclusive language is anytime you move from vague language to probabilistic language, you're moving toward more inclusivity because math. So that's a really good point. 95%, 20% chance or below. Olivier is very skeptical of vague language. I kind of like that. Barkley says, when I hear slam dunk, I think 95% or more. Absolutely. Hadassah, slam dunk is basketball. Yeah, but that's the point. We're dealing in a global world right now. So if we're really trying to use inclusive language and we learn all these things, maybe it's just easier to move toward probabilistic communication. What do you think? Yes? No? It's just like a cheat. You don't have to learn all this other stuff. You just say, let's all talk about numbers. Numbers are universal. All right, possibly, but not guaranteed. Hadassah said that's even worse. Basketball's worse than football? Oh man, maybe soccer. Yeah, but still, like, you might have some cultures, even in the United States, they don't know from soccer. No, maybe. Fantastic. All right. Now, what about age groups? Okay, we're doing a little survey, then we're going to get into exactly what we can do. What about age groups? What do you think the research revealed? Do you think that there are age differences in how people interpret vague language? Age differences, yes. Age differences, no. Math is a universal language, so I'd say yes. Yeah, okay. I agree. Absolutely. But what about age differences? Do you think that the research has found that there are age differences in how people interpret vague language? Now, bear in mind, people all interpret vague language differently, but do you think that certain ages kind of tend to interpret vague language the same? I'm going to give you the answer. It turns out, so I'm going to give bonus points for Ronlin and Hadassah who took a guess. 100%. I love 100%. Yes. So I'm going to say that most people think that there are these, we know that there's a big difference, but can you group these kind of similar understandings by age? It turns out, no. The answer is no. The research shows that age differences, people are different. We're all different. We've got variations in our mental processes. How many of you know from VOMPs, from our course, Removing Noise and Bias from Strategic Decision Making? All right, so Marianne says, no, experience helps interpreting messages. Most people say yes, age differences. Okay, now we're going to ask another one. What about gender differences? Do you think, and again, individuals' differences you can find. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about on average, there aren't age differences. But what about on average gender differences? Gender differences. Are there gender differences in how people interpret vague language when they have to put a number on vague language? Are there gender differences? Let's see what we say. Ray says, my father-in-law got in an argument at a donut shop where he insisted that a few meant 3 with certainty when he asked for a few donuts. I love it. I love it. Well, a couple is 2. So a few would be 3 or more. A few would not be 2 because a couple is 2. But in different cultures, that can have different interpretations. Just say how many donuts you want. Probabilistic. Now, are there gender differences? Those of you who are answering yes, 98%. I love it. No. Turns out there are gender differences. There were more gender differences than age differences in how people interpreted vague language when they had to specify what did this mean to them. So how can you do a better job? Let's use the last few minutes of our show to figure out what we can do. We already kind of have a hint. So there is an excellent thing, and we've already hinted at this. Convert your vague language and phrases into numbers and probabilities. So here's how you do it. The tendency to use something like, hey, there's a serious probability you're going to get a promotion. Now you might think, whoa, and my next review, a month goes by, another month goes by, you get your review, nothing happens. Wait a minute, I thought you said I was going to get a promotion. Nope. I said there's a serious possibility or a probability that you're probably going to get a promotion, or it's highly probable. I use vague language, so I can't be wrong. You can't hold me to this. So as a leader, you can use the framing, by that I mean. By that I mean. And then you put a timeline on it, bracket it, don't mean like, between now and forever, timeline, and a number. Now, if you're going to use probabilistic language, it is important that you as a leader not only understand probability, but you communicate probability. And I'm going to simplify a way to do that. You want to make sure that your team all knows that you're going to use probabilistic language. You're not going to be using this mushy language. And if you do, you're going to say, by that I mean. Okay. Now, if probabilistic language, you can get busy, blah, 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 but let's just make sure that your team understands what that means. So if you say something is a 70% chance or an 80% chance or a 90% chance, you don't want your team thinking that that's the same as a slam dunk, that that's the same as 100%. 100%, it's going to happen. This is going to happen 100%. Now, dangerous because, you could, step in front of a bus or something could happen and nothing. Very few things are 100%. So you have to inculcate those lessons for your team. If you're going to be leading with clarity, everyone knows and gets comfortable with uncertainty. That topic for another time, but you can at least explain it this way. You are very likely going to be promoted within a month of your review. By that, I mean, there's an 80% chance. Now, you know what an 80% chance means, that at 100 scenarios, 80 of those times, you will get this promotion. But there are 20 times with all the uncertainty in the world, a merger, a reorg, whatever, that I don't control. I'm going to keep you apprised as things happen. But there are 20 times out of 100 where this would not happen. And that's what I mean by an 80% chance. That is leading with clarity. A promise and an understanding, mutual communication about what these numbers mean. By that, I mean. Now, if you are someone working on emerging as a leader and someone says that to you, donuts, what do you mean by a few donuts, Ray? Great example. Love those examples. You can say, you said there is a serious possibility or it's highly probable that I'm going to get promoted. Now, let me understand the guardrails. Is this within a month of my review? Let me just get clarification because I want to know by that you mean, and I want to make sure that I understand what you mean by a serious possibility or probability. I want to make sure that I don't misinterpret, like the CIA agents, I don't misinterpret that to mean something that you're not communicating. So not only is this a lesson a little bit in leadership, it's a lesson in followership. It's on you too, to make sure that you are communicating with clarity. And if you're getting mushy language, that you're working to convert that mushy language to crisp, clear probability, crisp, clear numbers. All right, there's another thing you can do. Anyone want to have any input on this? All right, here's another thing you can do. We're going to get to it. You can, as a leader, create a chart of all of this vague language, and you just, you share it. And now have your team put the numbers, what they think this stuff means. It's fun. It's a fun thing. Have your team put the numbers. What do they think this means? I say 20%, highly possible, probable, not, never. Does everyone think never is 0%? Some people might, some people do. Some people might not. Okay. So you make all these vague language, the most common vague language that you hear. And then everyone individually, secret ballot, puts their numbers on it. And then you get together and discuss it. And you have an agreement that this vague language, by that we mean, and you have a common, clear understanding of what this vague language means. How many think that this would be not that hard? Not that hard. Could you do it? Would it be helpful? And would this help you lead with clarity? Whether you're following along as a member of a team or you're an emerging leader or a senior leader, would this help? What do you think? Put it in the chat. Let me know. So when you consider these probability charts, when you consider mushing vague language to inclusive probabilistic language, and then creating a chart so everyone can kind of share and see, it's fun to see like we just did, and then make an agreement about what these things mean. And then you can update it. You can update your subjective probability estimates. So for example, if you have is our product going to launch? What is the likelihood that our product is going to launch before our competitor? Okay, well, I think it's highly probable. Highly probable. All right, what does that mean? What does that mean? And then you've got to update. When you're dealing with probability, you don't worry about being a flip-flopper. You update those numbers as you get more information, because as good thinkers, we look for new evidence to update our estimates. That's how you anticipate and navigate the future. That's like a big lesson in, kind of got the sneak preview of our Anticipating the Future as a Leader LinkedIn Learning course. So we've got some people saying, Hadassah says it would be interesting. Christina Mahela says, I think it would help. Susan says it depends on the level of the employee. Excellent. I think that's really good too. Although I do think that you could ask, you could put it, these are fancy words, probably, always, never. You just put a number on it. What do you think that means? And maybe Olivia says definitely would help to know the new evidence. Yeah, actually, that's a really good point, Susan. That's a really good point, because then you can share. Leading with clarity means you're committing to updating and sharing and updating your the only way to anticipate the future is to update based on new information. I mean, if you're a sports team, for example, and you said, I know that my, sports team is going to win the championship, and then like the lead pitcher or quarterback or, forward or whatever on the pitch, whatever, breaks a leg. Well, then you obviously have to update your information. Or if the team goes on strike, you have to update your information. So, you commit ahead of time to updating that information. So anyway, that's just leading with clarity. Like if you need a cheat sheet way to lead with clarity, the next time you find yourself stating that a deal or other business outcome is unlikely or is virtually certain, stop yourself and ask, what percentage chance in what time frame would I put on this outcome? Communicating your vision of the future requires you to share your vision with transparency and clarity. And this will make you a leader that can be trusted and relied upon. Hey, 30 minutes on the button. Have a great week. See you. Am I traveling next week? No, I'll be back. See you next week right here, 9 a.m. Pacific time in the United States, 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Tune in. Subscribe on YouTube too, because we have people streaming in from YouTube. So just go to Becky Salzman and subscribe. Hit that bell notification. And here on LinkedIn Live. Have a great week.